Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this recorded webinar. This webinar supports the other webinars that have been broadcasted live for the Community Resilience Innovation Challenge. And what we want to do this afternoon is to explain and walk you through how you use the Social Vulnerability Index and the CEJST metrics for your submission and for what you're proposing to this challenge. So we'll walk through, the slides are kind of wordy, but they're meant to provide you details on how to proceed. And as always, if you have any questions after this, please send them to the email address that will be on the last slide. So if you've been following this challenge, we are looking to enhance the resilience of underserved coastal communities by addressing their vulnerabilities. And this objective is, the presentation of this objective is to help you understand the SVI and CEJST data to assess the impact of your solution, both for phase 1 and phase 2. What you're entering on May 6th will be your phase 1 submission. That's the simple first one, and phase 2 will be more complex. We will touch on that, but that's only going to be if you're invited to submit to a phase 2. There's the link to the challenge. In case you didn't know more, there's more information in there, including the fairly detailed applicant guidelines and requirements documents. So we'll start off with a couple of definitions here to make sure that we all start off on the same point. We will be talking about census tracts. These are areas, statistical subdivisions of a county or a city that aim to have roughly 4,000 inhabitants. All of the metrics are based on census tracts. As you'll see, we will be allocating census tracts to be the focus of this challenge, but for right now, we'll just be referring to them in a general sense and showing a couple of examples, but that's the definition of a census tract. I also want to give you a definition of the Social Vulnerability Index. There is a lot available on the internet. See page 9 on the applicant guidelines for a link to downloads, documentation, and data for the Social Vulnerability Index, otherwise known as SVI. SVI provides us specific socially and spatially relevant information to help public health officials, local planners prepare communities to respond to emergency events. This is a parameter that is used in many cities and communities' emergency management plan. So it has a pedigree. There's an awful lot of data involved there for all census tracts around the country. So it's a source of very, very good data. So I'll explain. The SVI is split up into 4 themes and 4 sub-themes as shown here. I won't read them all, but those are the themes and sub-themes that we will be asking you to identify with your solution as proposed. We'll show you how to do that, but you can pick as many as are relevant to your solution. Next, I want to talk about the climate and economic justice screening tool, what we call the CEJST. That too has various categories. It's analogous to the SVI, slightly different structure. It has the categories you see on the left-hand column of these tables here. It is focused a little bit more on some of the environmental and climate issues, water, wastewater, pollution, energy, climate change, that sort of thing. But it's a very useful parameter. It is split up into what are called burdens. Its sub-themes are called burdens, and you'll see them in the second column in each of these tables there. And again, we'll be asking you to identify which are relevant. And there's more information for these in the we've gone ahead and done, I'll show you is to help you. Let me just show you first of all a couple of examples from this just before we move on. This is a map from the CEJST website of a census tract in our local area in the center of Portsmouth, and it shows the shapefile here of the census tract in question, as well as the various sub-theme values for each one of the sub-themes in the CEJST. So that's an example. And just the number 90, the 90th, a number greater than 90th shows that that region is very vulnerable in that area. So the higher that number, the greater the vulnerability. Another example here, just some numbers from a typical census tract that said SVI. For each one of the themes here, socioeconomic status, household characteristics, racial ethnic minority status, housing type and transportation, they have numbers associated with it. Again, over 90 shows vulnerability, and in each one of these four themes, they can be put together into an overall SVI number, and that's one for a fairly vulnerable census tract in our area. And again, this is the CEJST numbers. Sometimes the numbers are unapplicable; they don't apply for a number of reasons, but other times you see them here in the table. So that's the information that you want to work with, and those numbers really just very simply refer to a ranking. And if we're just looking at, say, approximately the 2,000 census tracts in Virginia, then a number of 90th and greater says that that community is ranked in the bottom 10% of all the census tracts in Virginia in that area, in that sub-theme. So it shows that there's some benefit needed to help that community in that area. And really what we're looking for the solutions to this challenge to do is to increase the ranking of that community. So instead of being maybe numbered 1980th out of 2,000 census tract, can you bring it to 1800s or maybe even higher, which has a significant increase in the index rating and decrease in vulnerability. Here are the requirements out of the application guidelines for your phase 1 application. This is what everyone has to fill in. We're looking for you to identify the target areas, themes, and burdens as I showed for your solution, that your solution aims to address. And again, look at Appendix 1 in the application guidelines. And we also want a brief description of your solution impact, as a concise yet thorough explanation of how your solution will address and reduce the themes and the burdens. And emphasis should be placed on clarity. So we're not asking you to provide too much detail and length of description, but we want you to be clear and only pick those themes and sub-themes that you really can stand behind. If you're invited to submit to phase 2, you will be asked to provide further clarification. And if there are some sub-themes that you put in there that you can't stand behind, then that may cause you some difficulty. So I want to show an example here as we go forward. This is a process that you should go through for your submission. So here's an example, and this is completely made up, but it's just provided to give a little clarity. So let's say your solution, your company proposes to increase the number of homes that have access to vehicles. And in your proposed pilot projects, how many households can you provide access to, and how does this change the situation the census tract. That's what we want to know in the actual submission document. In your application, you're asked to identify the themes and sub-themes in the SVI and CEJST, or they can be both or one, and provide a 1 to 2 sentence description of how your solution addresses these areas. There are 4 topic areas in the application guideline: health, wellness, and safety, affordable housing, economic and job security, and environmental resilience. If your topic or your proposed solution falls outside of these areas, that's okay. Just as long as you can show that it actually has some benefit on the community resilience. So the next step is identify the themes and sub-themes here. So going forward, we're looking at, we've decided that our solution falls into the area of economic and job security. And so we look Appendix 1 of the applicant guidelines, as you can see here on page 26, and subsequently page 27, and we identify in the SVI the housing type and transportation, the no vehicle sub-theme. And in the CEJST, these 2 sub-themes here, workforce development, unemployed, and transportation barriers. So we've identified 3 themes and sub-themes that we want to address. And at this point, I'm going to stop sharing, and Betsy's going to walk you through what that looks like on the website.
Hey, everybody. Betsy. And we are so excited to learn more about your solutions and how they apply using these 2 tools. We're really thinking this is an innovative way to both assess and track the impact of these solutions in our community, and a way for businesses and nonprofits to leverage these tools to assess value moving forward. So I'm going to just quickly walk through what you all will see when you are inputting the information into the application form. And again, if you have any questions on how to do this, please do not ever hesitate to reach out to us at info@riseresilience.org, and we are more than happy to offer any assistance that you may need. And now I'm going to share my own screen so that I can walk through this process a little bit more with you. So as you all can see, when you're preparing your application, this is what you will see. I have gone ahead and plugged in just a few basics. And as you can see up here, it shows me about how much I have completed. And I would just really quickly recommend that you always hit the save draft. Even if you input one little bit of information, be sure you save your draft so you don't lose any of that valuable input. As we all know, that can be very frustrating. But you'll see that I haven't really filled in a lot of this, and that's just for the sake of this demonstration here. But we're really going to focus in on these pieces of information down here. And as Paul walked through for that sample solution, we wanted to check in here on where, what topic areas did we think that solution applied to? And we thought that it would be something like economic and job security. And you can do this here. Let's say your solution, even if it isn't this sample one, you think it also applies to affordable housing or health, wellness, and safety. You can offer any number of these, and you can add your own answer if none of these selections fit. And then here, this is where we're talking about these SVI themes and sub-themes, your solution targets. And I wanted to mention here that there are 2 different ways that you can add this information. You can use this to scroll and choose any of these from this list here, or you can click on socioeconomic status, and it will automatically populate all of the sub-themes from this larger theme. So you know that socioeconomic status is a theme. These are all of the sub-themes. So if I click on socioeconomic status, and let's say I want to click high school, no high school diploma, it will automatically populate. We know though from that sample that Paul was talking about, that it is instead it is housing and transportation. So we're going to select this one. And we know from that sample that no vehicle was the sub theme there. So we're going to go ahead and click that and it populates up there for us. We'll scroll down here. And based on that sample company that Paul and solution that Paul noted in our presentation there, we also wanted to, let's say we wanted to scroll down and say it was transportation and transportation barriers. We can click down here, transportation right here, and transportation barrier. And then we can add that here. And we also want to say that he mentioned that it was also workforce development. It could apply there. So if we click on that workforce development tab, it will automatically populate those burden areas that are connected to the CEJST tool. And unemployment is right here. So those have automatically populated for you. And then down here, this is that really critical piece of information that Paul mentioned. We would like to learn more about how you see these tools applying to your solution, or sorry, actually, I should reverse that, how your solution is applying to these tools. So please explain how your solution addresses each of those selections that you noted above. And please, offer a 1 to 2 sentence description and make sure that it is clear so that we get a really good understanding of your tool and how it connects to these, or your solution, how it connects to each of these tools. And again, if you have any questions or concerns about how to use this, our application, if you have any questions about it, please feel free to reach out to us, info@riseresilience.org. And at that, I'm going to go ahead and toss it back to Paul.
Thank you, Betsy. And so we'll come back to our burdens that we identified here in the yellow. So you now know how to put them into the submission, online submission. So they'll look like this when we access them. Sorry about that. Where we'll have the theme and the sub-theme, as well as just a brief description here. Here's an example for the one that we're considering, where we plan to provide up to 30 vehicles to households that do not have access. So that's sort of the plan. You want to bring in a number of vehicles, give them access. And so it'll address that SVI theme and sub-theme on the CEJST. You'll be addressing the transportation / transportation barrier sub-theme by reducing the cost and time spent on transportation by a household by making transportation readily available with at least 2 days notice. And you're also going to be electing the workforce development theme and unemployment sub-theme, where it'll support families to get to and from work safely and reliably. So what I'll say is, just to reiterate, that these themes and sub-themes and the reasons that you present here will be used in developing, if you're invited to, the phase 2 submission and the actual funded submission if you are selected as a winner. So be judicious in which ones you select, because they'll be used to form the basis of your future plan. And in phase 2, if you're invited, you will be applying your solution to the sample census tract, and we'll be looking for you to demonstrate how your solution will bolster the community resilience within that selected sample tract by decreasing the SVI or CEJST or both. And so we want to actually make sure that what you're proposing, the solution you're proposing, has a pathway to be implemented and actually decrease the vulnerability of the community. And we'll be asking you to provide additional details of how your solution will positively alter the vulnerability rankings in the selected census tract. And that will form the basis of your funded work plan. So phase 2 is only open to those entities invited to proceed by the selection committee. after May 6th. Excuse me, after June 6th. RISE will provide guidance, so you won't be on your own in phase 2. We will be providing you guidance and support as you need it to help you get to where you need to be. But this is just, I just want to make sure that you understand the phase 1 is just the first step, and phase 2 will be more detail, and we will help you with that. The challenge timeline, the applications opened on April 15th, and the submissions are due on June 6th at 2 p.m. We will announce finalists July 5th, and then to those who are selected to go to phase 2, July 10th will be the deadline for additional documentation, technical details, and a work plan for the selected shortlist finalists. We'll announce those judge them and announce those on August 2nd, and the shortlisted finalists will pitch in mid-August, and winners will be announced on September the 1st. So there is there's a link to our website. There's much more detail on that, including this recorded webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out by email or during one of our webinars. Please join and let us know if you have any questions. We want to help you get to a successful submission. So with that, that concludes the webinar. I hope it has been helpful, and please stay in touch and let us know how we can help you conclude your submission. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everybody.